What's up, folks? I don't know if anyone out there listening to me. Not a lot of people are that in the know. I'm sure my audio sounds fine, but if it doesn't, let me know. Gonna be joining Discord soon, so if anybody joins that, of course, that should be fun. So today we're gonna take a look at Pop OS 2004 beta. It's pretty neat, so we'll see. I'll see if anybody wants to join me in the Discord there. Howdy, sir.
Buenos dias, ¿cómo está? What's happening, man?
Not much. Let me turn this down a little bit.
I might be too loud. Just let me know.
I mean,
I don't.
that's not you.
Oh, okay.
So, taking a look at Pop OS today, and kind of impressed, to be honest. Like it's a smooth ride, to say the least. They got that tiling thing is really neat. I'm not big. I'm not big on tiling window managers, mainly because the window managers are just that, window managers. But the tiling is really well done. It's still a little buggy, but it's there. Like it works.
So I noticed that they have it installed, but they don't enable it by default. Is that right? Or maybe it was just I did it in a virtual machine, so I'm not sure.
Uh, no. So the tiling is installed by default. It's not enabled by default. But in the top right, there's like a little extension button you can press, and you can tile windows from there.
Okay.
But yeah, it's pretty neat. So, is my
Well,
audio
so what did
coming through on the stream all right? I guess it would be. Okay.
I think so.
It just gave me a warning about some bitrate thing, but whatever. Sure, it
Oh
works.
yeah, they only want you to do 4500, I think.
Oh no, about audio bitrate for whatever reason. Yeah.
Oh, weird.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's because it's 160 and I think they wanted 128 or something. I don't know. Who cares? YouTube, it's weird.
It is weird. Did it give you any trouble starting?
No, actually, it was. So I didn't realize you could reuse old streams, like settings from old streams, and just change the title and stuff. That wasn't a thing before. Like before, it would just literally copy the stream. But now they allow you to change the name and all that. I don't remember being able to do that before. I remember just like if you could copy a previous stream and do it again, kind of thing. But yeah,
Cool. So what did you install it on?
I installed it on hardware on my desktop. On a 512 gig NVMe, and pretty quick. So I can guess I can actually switch over to the desktop finally, right? Here.
What graphics do you have in it?
I have a 1080 Ti.
Okay.
So they have so this is the page, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um so they're still doing beta testing. They show you, you can do either a fresh install or an upgrade from the previous versions. They have instructions here on how to do that. I guess they have their own pop upgrade tool that people use. The Bill.
Okay. Franklin
Um,
Bill.
how you doing, Bill? Doing all right? And then they have some release notes. So they changed some of the shortcuts, mainly to adhere to the tiling thing, I believe, because some of these I can go over later. Like the old super up and down, and like others they mean something new in the current one. But also like super Q makes more sense than super W, to be honest.
Yeah.
In terms of closing windows and toggling maximize. Super M, it's just easier than having to move your hand all the way to the arrow keys, right? Just
Yeah.
little things like that are pretty nice. Um, they've added in the pop shell tiling, sorry. Um, which I'm actually using right now. You can probably see that they have a yellow rim around the window, so that signifies the active window. And by the way, on 27-inch 4K monitors, pretty nice being able to tile stuff. I'm actually running at 1440p just because I didn't. Scaling's kind of a mess. Like, I'd rather just run it at 1440p. It looks fine enough, right? And games will run better anyway. I'm not that worried. but it still get a lot of space, right? It's about 150% scaling amount, right? So, um, but
So
mhm.
because they are using the Ubuntu base, is your scaling fix in there
So
now?
the 200% is, but apparently the fractional scaling that they have in there has the
Yeah.
same problem as the old 200% did.
Oh.
And actually just got an email from Daniel Von Voot, or
Mm-hmm.
however. I'm sorry, Daniel. I didn't mean to butcher your name, but I got an email from him about my bug report about the scaling and mentioning that it also affects this other bug report that someone else did about the fractional scaling doing the same thing. So it's the NVIDIA driver, and any kind of scaling, fractional scaling, will also cause it to do that. And the difference is the fractional scaling is doing something totally different than the 200%, as far as I know. As far as I know, the fractional scaling is like X render, right? So I'm not really sure what's going on there. But
Hmm.
it's something with Mutter, most likely, but we'll see.
Gotcha.
Um, so yeah, 1440p is what I'm running. Text might be a little small to read on the stream. I don't know. Um, so I got plenty of space to tile things, and it's really nice. Like I like the tiling. I just don't want to deal with a tiling manager, right? I don't want to deal with a window manager because it's too bare bones, or I have like compositing issues where like a tearing and all that, and just if there's too much that's keyboard driven, like I still have my activities, I still have stuff that's mouse driven, but I can still tile and do keyboard driven things as well. I like that mixture, right? But I'll get into that. So they got the new applications switcher and launcher, and Flatpak support with FlatHub. So FlatHub is built into the Pop Shop, which makes installing things so much simpler, right? I know some people are really adamant about using the terminal for installing things, but they make it really easy. And so it's like, well, awesome, right? May as well use it. Um so first off, this new application switcher and launcher is super slash, right? So if I do that, it comes up with this. And I can launch an application, I can switch to a window or whatever, right? So if I want to switch to Discord, which is already open, I can just type in Discord and switch to it. If I want to go back to that window I had, I don't have to just type in Google Chrome. I can type in something that's in the title of the page that's up. So, Pop OS, for example, and it'll switch back. You can launch new applications with it. So if I do, I guess I'll just type in shop because that's probably. So if I do Pop Shop, it'll open the Pop Shop, right? So it's a nice little kind of Spotlight-esque launcher, but it also is a window switcher. Another cool shortcut that it has is you can type T : and then a command, and it will open the same command in the terminal. So I can do T : uname -a, and it'll open up a terminal, run the command, and then you can press enter to exit it, which is pretty handy. I like that. That's pretty neat. And then they have that's running it in a command in the terminal. If you want to just run like through sh, you can just do : and then the name of like the command, and it will run the command like without running it in a terminal. How's it going, guys? Yeah. So yeah, this is actually on hardware. VMs are fun, but I like doing things on hardware most of the time. Hey Vince, so glad of you to join us. Rocco, Farron, what's up, guys? Glad there's a lot more people than I thought. So the tiling is pretty neat. They have a little thing up here at the top right that's looks like a little couple blocks in the system tray. By the way, they have a system tray. Just saying. So in here they have where you can enable tiling windows, and then they have a couple shortcuts here for navigating and stuff. and then they have show active hint. So show active hint is the yellow border around the active window. And then they have gaps where you can increase or decrease the gap between the windows, right? If you so choose. This is all default, by the way. This is all like stuff that I didn't mess with the gaps. I didn't mess with anything. But they have the shortcuts here. So if I go to view all, you can see it kind of tile out of the way. And you can see all the shortcuts. I'm not going to read through them, but they're pretty useful. So close that. Tiles the way it should. Sleepy, I'm not sure if it's ready for prime time yet. It's still a little wacky, but it works for the most part. I've had times where windows that don't shrink enough because of like whatever various window rules they might have there for themselves can cause like an overlap in the windows instead of like shrinking them indefinitely to fit things in. So I think there probably will be an inherent limit to how many things you can tile just based on that. But I'm not sure if that will be something they'll work on later or not. But it's really cool. So in the tiling, you can use the super key and the arrow keys to move between the apps. So you can see that the yellowish border moves between the two apps. And if you're doing something like, Telegram, for example, if you move into the window, it seems to, at least in my experience so far, it like auto focuses into the text field. So you can just you can just keep on the keyboard and immediately start typing. You don't have to go click the text field or anything unless you're out of a chat, right? So it's pretty nice. So when you go to move things around, there's a couple shortcut keys, right? So if I do a super key and O, stands for orientation, it will move things into, in this case, horizontal orientation. So you can have a window change its position based on that. And then you hit super key O again, and it will go vertically. Hey, Simon, how's it going? And so that can be pretty useful when you're arranging things, right? But then they have this sort of edit mode where you do a super and enter, and it goes into this like kind of puts an overlay over the active window. And then from here, you can use the arrow keys to move things around. So if I want to, move this window left and right, I can. And I'm sure people who are used to tiling window managers are used to this, but this is nice having it in GNOME because GNOME is great. And so, if I do this, but then I hold down Shift and hit the arrow keys, I can resize the window as I need to. So I can resize it to there, resize it to here, whatever I need to make it fit. You can also drag things. You don't necessarily have to use the keyboard. So if you hit enter, it'll accept your changes, and if you hit escape, it'll cancel it. So you can still use like the mouse here. I'm pretty sure you can't see my cursor, it's kind of tiny, but you can drag a window and it'll resize the tiling for you. So you don't necessarily have to do the tedious stuff of using the keyboard, but if you're already on the keyboard, feel free, right? So that's kind of neat. But also, if I let me open up a terminal here just for the sake of having something. So if I drag this terminal like down here and let go, it will reflow. I don't have to like mess about with the keyboard stuff to make it do everything. You can simply drag and drop if you want to. Again, the great thing about GNOME, not having like to be adhered to the keyboard, right? So it's really cool. I appreciate it, Steve. So it's a really neat tiling thing. The tiling it is separate workspaces. So if you go to another workspace, you'll have your own tiling per workspace, as well as your own tiling per monitor. So I have a second monitor that has all the the juicy behind the scenes stuff right now, and that's not being shown. But you can see over there, like I have, the YouTube streaming up, the chat, my Telegram, OBS, all that like nicely tiled, so I can still see everything without having to like shift around and all that. It's really really handy. And then the flat pack stuff that they added in. Oh, McGee's gonna join us. So the flat pack stuff they added in will give me one moment. I gotta kick my cat out.
Hey, John, how's it going? John didn't know you were on on YouTube, so he's like, "Who's Adam talking to?"
Okay, I'm back. So I have this like I have a chocolate shake that I was drinking, and McGee was like, "Hey, I want in that, but chocolate's really terrible for him, because he's a cat." So I had to take that from him and kick him out because that's what he gets. Poor McGee. Sorry about that, guys. So anyway, so having the tiling is really useful for like seeing a bunch of things. I've used tiling window managers in the past that like I felt were kind of annoying in the sense that like I tried i3, but like i3 I had to like do everything manually, and that was kind of annoying. I tried Awesome briefly, and that one was a little better because it did a lot of layouts for me, and I'm kind of lazy, so I like that. But having it in GNOME is great because I'm a huge GNOME fan, and just like it's the functionality that I want in the environment I like. And the performance of this is pretty great. I don't know if it comes across on the stream very well, but it's pretty quick. Anybody got any questions so far? Yeah, it's totally a Sonic chocolate shake, by the way. Yeah. If you have any, feel free to ask. It's on hardware, so I plan on trying out some games in a bit here. I wish Pop ran on my Mac. No, I'm just kidding. My Mac is my Mac. It's my stable machine. I don't care if this one gets blown away, but I do care if the Mac gets blown away. Yeah, let me see if it's 3.36. So I go into the settings here. About 3.3.6.1. That's that. You are correct. It is down there. So, and if you're wondering about my specs, that's it. Oh, I guess this would be a good opportunity to mention that they did add a dark mode. So if you go into the settings and then appearance, in the top they have an appearance tab, and in there you can switch between prepare your eyes, light mode, and dark mode. And I like their dark theme. It's pretty nice. I'm usually a light theme kind of guy, but this is a good dark theme. I gotta say it's a pretty well polished distro. I know people have their complaints and whatnot, but it's pretty great. So before Miggy decided to try to ruin the stream, I was gonna talk about the flat pack. So I have a few flat packs. So let me think of something that I could install. Do you know any flat packs, Eric, that you normally install that you don't think I'd have?
Go get Flat Seal.
Flat Seal? Okay. So I can search, and there's Flat Seal, shows up in the software thing. And they have a drop-down menu. Of course, this one's only going to have Flat Hub, but in the drop-down menu, you can choose between the Deb or the Flat Pack. And so I have the Flat Pack here. Click Install. It installs as a user. That was quick. I guess I already had the runtime installed. But yeah, so if it I've noticed in GNOME software, especially on like Fedora and others, when you go to install a Flatpak, it will sit there and act like it's doing nothing, right? And it's actually getting all the runtimes. It's not actually installing the app yet, right? But then after a while, it'll just be like, bam, install the app, right? And it's like, okay, what happened? But in here, actually, whenever I've installed previous Flatpaks, it actually has a progress during the section of installing the runtimes. So it actually looks like it's doing something. It doesn't look like it hung. So that's pretty neat. The Peter said he ran it for a 2 whole day. Oh yeah. Then you blew away that. I remember that. See, I love about i3 is that you can switch between from tiled and tab mode. Don't think all Windows managers have this. Yeah, tabbed mode, huh? So like just a bunch of tabs of windows. That's kind of neat. I think like I remember seeing some goofy third-party software that did that in Windows, but yeah, so having the Flatpak stuff working is great, but having FlatHub enabled by default is not only useful for someone lazy like me, but useful for someone who might be just new to Linux, right? And you know, they don't have to, you know, because the advantages that snaps have in Ubuntu is that the snap store is enabled by default. You don't have to go out and get things, right? So you just go in the software center and install things like you might think you would. And that is the case here, but instead of snaps, it's Flatpaks. And I know Linux Mint also has that, and that's really useful. You know, because face it, people want the software they want, and if it's not in the repo, what are they gonna do, right? So it's pretty great to have the Flatpak stuff built in. They don't have like a specific Flatpak section here, which I'm okay with, because it shouldn't matter whether you're getting the Deb or the Flatpak in terms of user experience. User experience should be, my app is a graphics app. It should be in the graphics section. I don't care where it's coming from, but if I do care where it's coming from, I can choose in the drop down, right? That's the important part. And so, you know, even Fedora that has the easiest install of FlatHub, which is just download a file and double click it, is still too much work, right? And they have a do not disturb, which I will turn on now. So even then, it has, you know, it's extra work. The person has to know what FlatHub is. They have to know what Flatpak is. They have to know where to go. I'm not saying people are so lazy as to not be able to go on the internet and download something. Clearly, Windows users do that all the time. But it's not an obvious thing. If they know an app like Spotify, they're going to go look for Spotify. But they don't know to go to FlatHub to enable FlatHub and then install Spotify. So having it all built in is a wonderful thing, I believe. I mean, I like snaps, I like Flatpaks, I like app images. I just like having universal packages because I can get all the same stuff regardless of the distro I'm on. So where to select FlatHub and yeah, sure. Let me think. So I'll go into like VS Code. There's one I already have installed, but in here you can select in the drop down menu here. I can choose the Pop! OS Deb, and it actually will change the screenshot and the branding and everything, the description down here, all that according to the Deb. But if I switch to the Flatpak, it changes the icon, it changes who's made it, where it's come from, the description, all that stuff. The version down there at the bottom, they have the what's new, you know, it'll show like current version and any kind of change log over time. So that's pretty useful. But yeah, it's just this little drop down. I opted for the Deb because the Flatpak of VS Code's kind of weird. It has its own like sandboxed environment. It doesn't reach right into yours. So when you're working with like certain tools, it can be kind of wacky. The Snap doesn't have that problem, but the Snap is classically confined, so it wouldn't. But yeah, so that's basically it. You can pull down this menu and choose between Deb, Flatpak, and that's just great. I like that. I like that a lot. Also, kudos to the Pop Shop devs or Element or whoever came up with this store. Like, dude, having my back button on my mouse work, awesome. Like, I can just hit the back button on my mouse. I don't have to go up to the top left. Love it. Let's see. Anybody have any more questions at all? Everybody's just chatting with each other as usual. Let's see. Sup, Dad? Yeah, that was a fun conversation earlier. Yeah. So if you guys have any questions or want me to like test something, I mean, feel free to recommend apps you want me to take a look at or see how they work or see how they're styled. Actually, I'm curious. What's a QT app? Cree does QT, right? So if I go down here, I can launch Krita, which I actually have installed. I installed the Flatpak, so I get the latest version and all that. But you can see the, it follows its own theme. I guess maybe because Krita has its own thing. I don't know, but the theme here for this like QT app isn't quite the same. Eric? What's another QT app that would to see if it fits yours?
Notice like do the QV4.
Oh yeah.
The webcam.
Yeah, let me sure that's not in the Pop Shop, so
it's in the Ubuntu repository. It should be in there.
Yeah, I don't know if it'll show up in the Pop Shop though. Let's see. Is it VL4? Was it? V4L2.
Yeah.
UCP, is it? Is that it? Yeah, that's not gonna.
Let me see.
Yeah, I think that's it, but 2 UCP.
Yeah, it's QV4.
QV4.
Yeah, QV4. QV4L2.
The QTV4L2 test utility?
Yeah, the one I have installed is just called QV4L2.
Oh, okay, I'll go ahead and throw that in. Put in my super secret password.
Hey, all right. It's Steve's very own.
Hey, hello.
Yeah, so this one, this is gross. Is this always gross?
Well, that's because it's not styling Qt. So the other thing I install is Qt Manager, I think it is.
Qt Manager? Okay.
Qt5 configuration tool. What's it called? Qt5.
Oh yeah, Manager is gonna really narrow it down. Oh yeah, they have a fun little bonk 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 noise. I can do that for the rest of the stream.
We can't hear it.
Not yet. You can't.
What the heck is that thing called?
So one could even. You could.
Qt5.
You know what? I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna put on just put on a bunch of streams like a video wall. Have all of it.
Is what I have installed.
Steve, CT. Qt5 settings.
Qt5 CT.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see here. So you're saying the Qt settings are not like
no? They made a change where the GTK themes aren't read by the Qt apps or Qt, I guess.
Oh.
And so yeah, that's something I installed that, and I installed the Adwaita Qt or Adwaita Qt.
Yeah, I don't know if they're adhering to Adwaita though, right?
No, they're not. But there won't be a pop version of a Qt theme. So Adwaita is close enough. It's at least the same color or close.
Okay.
At least a Yarrow.
Yeah, so Qt apps are kind of a mixed bag. I think Qt apps are ugly anyway.
Manjaro installs Kvantum.
Oh, because that handles.
Yeah, Kvantum. You can do all your cute
Yeah.
theming.
But I mean, I think Krita was the only Qt app that I had installed because, and if you guys don't know, Krita is much nicer than GIMP. But at least in my opinion, and my opinion's right, it's nicer than GIMP.
In looks or
When
In
it's your
use.
stream.
Yeah,
when
it's
your
my
stream.
yeah, it's my stream, right?
Yeah,
But yeah, I think it's way nicer. It's a lot easier to use. Just GIMP's okay, but GIMP's kind of long in the tooth. They do some stuff in GIMP that they don't do in Krita, but I don't think most people have a use for that, right? But the
Yeah,
same way,
'cause-
like, most people are like, "Oh, I need Photoshop." Really? Why? Like, do you really need Photoshop? Like, what are you gonna do? You're gonna put some text? You could do that in Paint, guys. But yeah. Let's see. Might have
well,
missed it.
most image viewers have stuff like resize and crop built in now. So all the things that you would like, all the simple things you'd have to use
Yeah.
GIMP for.
Yeah. Correct. As far as no, it doesn't seem to have the mouse over functionality. I would like that. I think that would be kind of neat to have. But it doesn't have, you have to actually click in the window or use the keyboard shortcut to activate the window. Sorry, Vince. Can you install Lollipop and see if it integrates sound controls? Yeah, I think I actually already did install Lollipop. Yeah, let's go ahead and
Let's just
Oopsie.
make Adam install every ridiculous.
I closed the wrong window because I'm bad at this. That'll be fun when I'm trying to quit the stream and I can't because I closed out YouTube.
Oops.
Yeah, whoops. We'll do that later. So yeah, if I go ahead and do, I'm assuming the stream is still going. I don't.
It looks like it. I'm watching it.
Okay, yeah.
yes.
So yeah, here's Lollipop. As far as music goes, let's see. They have web functionality that you can enable, right? So go ahead and enable that. Yeah, sure. Give me some background data. I'm gonna search for all along. See, nothing. Really? You're not gonna come up with anything for that? No result. Oh, I think I have to click up here. Nothing. Did I miss something? I don't think I did. Go ahead and just enable some of this.
Steve, you guys got snow?
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah, how do you get snow in April?
There was at least 2 inches on the lawn this morning.
2 inches?
Yeah, it was pretty heavy.
Anything? Oh, there we go. Okay. So I'm gonna mute my desktop audio real quick on the stream. That way I don't get copyright flagged. Yeah, if I go in here and play this. Yeah, up here. Let me clear out all that. So you can see here, Bill, it does show that I'm playing up in the music controls in the notification center. So it just took a little bit for it to realize that it wants to connect to the web, but yeah, it does adhere to it. So that's pretty useful. Yeah. So yeah, if you guys have any more questions, I mean, this is the time, right? Like you don't have to blow away your machine because Pop! OS, by the way, is not dual boot friendly. Like, it will install system deboot. It wants to be the only operating system on your device. So if you have a dual boot, like a single disk dual boot, it might not be for you. if you have an extra disc in your machine, or like, you know, 2 discs, then yeah, feel free to blow one of them away with this, and it's great. You won't get like a grub menu or anything. You won't get any kind of like bootloader thing. The intended way is for you to switch to the other operating system via your UEFI menus. So, you
it's
know,
kinda like
F8 or something
Solus
like that.
then.
Yeah, it's very similar to how Solus does it, yeah. But again,
Rocco asked,
it makes sense because, you know, it's on their hardware, right? So they, you know, they kind
Right.
of expect that.
there's
Separate
probably some advantage to system deboot. I just don't know what it is.
Kdenlive, yeah. Let me grab that real quick.
I think Rocco asked about tweaks too.
Tweaks, okay. Let's do the open up the pop shop here. Tweaks. Yeah, because I remember you were saying that tweaks was showing like a black bar on yours, right, Rocco? Something like that was happening on yours. So let me grab tweaks. Let me open it up. Yeah, so there's tweaks. Has its own like theme and everything. Extensions. Now the extensions in here are not the same. They're not reflected in the extension. The extensions app, I should say, is more representative of what's there, not this. But yeah, so this is tweaks works. I don't see that that black bar. I can check. Let me see here. Let me close that. I can check in the light menu. So you can see here where there's like overlap because the GNOME maps can only shrink so much. So you get this weird overlap when it tries to shove itself where it can't fit. So that's kind of a weird thing. I mean, it makes sense because you don't want to like, you can't squish this pop shop anymore, because if you do, like, you're cutting off the buttons, right? So kind of weird. But if I, you know, drag it over here, it'll fill out. Let's see, in the light. So no, I'm not seeing the black bar that you were talking about, Rocco. So maybe that bug that you're experiencing is fixed. Maybe it doesn't affect me. Hopefully it's just fixed. Now for everybody's sake, I'm gonna turn it back to dark. And if you guys in Discord have any questions, let me know. So I know you wanted to see Kdenlive, so now I'm gonna grab this from FlatHub because that's how I do things.
You're obviously a very wise man.
Oh yeah.
Sorry.
So Kdenlive, obviously it adheres to its own you know, colors and stuff, because it always has. But you know, it's kind of neat that, you know, you can open up file manager, you know, next to it, and you know, just tile it different ways, and then, you know, just drag your stuff in. Yeah, sure, whatever, you know, that kind of thing. It's pretty handy. I don't know, did the I don't know if this ever popped out, did it? The video preview thing, I don't think it ever did. But that'd be kind of neat too. You could have that on the separate monitor and tiled out, maybe have your audio mixer somewhere else, that kind of thing. But yeah, so Kdenlive, you know, just kind of adheres to its own thing. It seems to be the Qt thing. I don't know that the pop guys, I don't know if, I doubt it's an oversight. I think they just don't care, right? Like, just use GTK stuff, right? I think that's largely what they're thinking. But I could be wrong. They could just be like, oops, my bad. So yeah, Kdenlive works. As far as, I don't think I have any video. Let me check.
That's all right. Caden or Qt's gonna go away soon anyway, so
Oh
you
yeah,
don't have
that's
to worry.
true. Yeah.
You don't have
So
to worry about it anymore.
awesome. I can't wait for the day. Controversy. So yeah, I did play some Overwatch on Pop OS, and the performance was stupendous. It was amazing. The same with Risk of Rain 2. These are two games that I usually test when I test gaming performance on Linux. Those are the two I usually do. They're both wine games. Native games just don't run well in almost the time. But Risk of Rain 2 is a little more lightweight of a wine game, and it runs with Proton, right? So it's a little more of a known quantity. And Overwatch is kind of a moving target, so it's always nice to see like any improvements that the new versions of wine might have had, or possibly any regressions that an update to Overwatch has had. So it's always a kind of a nice setup there. Yeah, if you guys have any questions, feel free, or comments. Yeah, so Eric, Peter wants to ask about what was that about QT going away? Care to explain that one?
Yeah, they're saying that they're having issues financially with the pandemic, and so they want to change their open source I guess license or agreement where only paying customers get updates in in the first 12 months following a release. And so that would make it so that, as new Qt versions come out, or I guess open source projects wouldn't have access to newer versions of Qt until that 12-month window expires. So KD's working with them and trying to, come up with some type of agreement. But I don't know. There hasn't been anything yet. But it'll obviously affect KDE quite a bit, LXQT, and then all of the different apps that use Qt. Oh, I'm sure Dan knows all about it, Peter.
Just yeah, feel free to keep talking. I just need to bring up the go live thing again. I lost because I lost it.
I can do that.
Hopefully it just reconnects to my current stream.
Yeah, I was gonna try Pop, but like Adam said, I already have Ubuntu on here, and if I wanted to try it, it would pretty much, kill kill the ability to dual boot.
Yeah,
Which is
that is unfortunate.
Yeah,
because like there's a lot to like about this. I think like I think it's the performance is great. With the new GNOME in it, like Pop already had some kind of like something that they did in the previous installations that it just felt really smooth, right? Like the windows moved smooth, the animations were smooth, and I didn't know what they were doing differently than the others, right? But now with 3.36 and everyone's smooth, Pop is just that much more consistent, right? So it's there's a lot to like here.
Well, funny enough, so I had gotten away from desktop Linux for quite a number of years. Just had been running it on servers, and when I started back on desktop Linux, Pop OS, the first release was 17.10, and I had taken a look at it and was really impressed by it. And then when 1804 came out, that pretty much I ran a combination of 1710 and 1804 until for probably a good 6 months, and that was my welcome back to desktop Linux. So it's very solid. It's a really good system. It's just it makes it just like with Solus. It just kind of makes it inconvenient to dual boot. And if you had if you only had one OS, like who cares? It wouldn't be a big deal. But um, it just makes it more difficult than it needs to be. So
Yeah. What's in this this settings? See, the settings button does nothing. Oh, there it is. Just took a little bit. Yeah, so here's the settings for the Pop Shop. So you can choose like the different branches that you want to pull from, updates you might want, any extra sources like PPAs you want to add, you can add them in here. And then Flatpak, you can add additional Flatpak repos as well. So, for those that do exist somewhere, I'm sure. That's kind of neat.
The reason I like to dual boot, Peter, is I like to have one stable install. So that's almost always Ubuntu. And then the second one is when I'm testing something on hardware, I want to be able to have that second boot for that. So, and yeah, you can. So Bill said do it in legacy mode, but my system is UEFI. So
Yeah.
I've tried that before to turn on legacy boot, but it gets really, it's not very, very good.
And this, of course, is Visual Studio Code, our wonderful Electron app.
Oh, I know what you meant, Peter. Don't worry. I knew what you were saying.
So VS Code works pretty well. The big reason, so I installed it with the Deb over the Flatpak. And the main reason is when you open a terminal window in the Deb version, you get like a direct terminal for your machine, right? But VS Code and Flatpak is like a sandboxed environment that has certain tools and stuff they package in for you, but it doesn't have. It has like file access to your stuff, but it doesn't have access to the system really. So you can't really work with it as directly. It's not really like an integrated terminal. It's like its own little integrated environment. It's kind of strange, but I work with some tools that they don't ship in there, so that's kind of needed.
So you seem like you're really enjoying the tiling mode. You think
Yeah,
you're gonna
well,
get used to that?
the main reason I haven't turned it off is because all my other stuff is tiled on the other monitor, and if I do, it's just defeats it. Actually, funny enough, when you turn it off, your windows don't like magically pop where they were. It still stays tiled, so I guess I could just leave it alone. So if I turn it off right there, it's off, but my other stuff's still there, and you can still see it looks like it's tiled, but it's very much like floating, right?
I just wasn't sure if you enjoyed it or not.
Yeah, I think it's pretty neat. I think it's something that I could see myself getting used to because again, it's useful for screen real estate while also still being like in GNOME.
Yeah, and I could see using it, like switching it on for, you're undertaking a certain task, so you need tiled windows, and then it's nice. It is nice to be able to switch it on and off.
Yeah.
Because things like i3, I mean, yeah, you can turn on tabs and floating windows, but fundamentally, it's still a tiling window manager. Whereas I often find that I like the concept of tiling, but I really prefer a floating window manager. So that
Yeah.
seems like a really good compromise.
Yeah, it definitely is. I think it's pretty useful. But I don't know. Yeah, I've never been a big fan of the tiling thing, mainly because of the issue I had with the window managers that they adhere you to the keyboard, right? Like they're not mouse friendly at all. Like everything is a keyboard shortcut. But with this, like if I want to drag a window around to like reform it, I can. I can still do things with my mouse like I'm used to, but I can also do things with the keyboard if I need to. So like I like that flexibility. But like i3, I never could get on with that. Like resizing windows with the arrow keys, like that I had to, was kind of annoying. And I know you get used to it after a while, but I often ask myself like, is it worth like spending how much time getting used to these key bindings just to do something I was already doing intuitively with a mouse, right? But that's me. And other people are like, hey, this is like next level. This is what I want out of a machine, and they're willing to go the extra mile, and I totally get that. But this is a nice compromise, like you said. Yeah.
And it's nice to have it there. It's not enabled by default, but it's there. And I mean, when you think of value for the System 76 customers, having that on there.
Yeah, and they're targeting that like developer, creator, maker kind of crowd, right? So they're the kind of person they're gonna want to use every little millimeter of space on their machine efficiently. And yeah, if I had like a 15-inch 1080p display on my laptop, like some of theirs do, like that'd be perfect. Just tile it out, and with the keyboard shortcuts for the workspaces, right? Like you can just have a workspace with all kinds of stuff. It's very similar to the way the Mac does it, really. With the tiling, like that's very similar to the way the Mac handles like just an app, a workspace. But then if you want to tile within a separate workspace, you can. Maybe that's what I love about it, right? I had to slip Apple into the stream somehow.
Could be it. Well, GNOME itself already does. I mean, that's, I think, one of the reasons that I'm so hooked on it right now is the way that it handles virtual desktops. And it's
Like the
so,
dynamic, like
oh, yeah.
way. Oh, that's yeah.
Control Shift to just move something down to its own desktop. And
so that's so with the tiling, that's Windows and Shift or Super Shift, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that will move, like if I want to move this like Lutris down, I do Windows Shift and down, and it moves it down a workspace and tiles it out the way it should and everything. You can move it back up. And again, you have the flexibility of, I just want regular GNOME. So turn it off, use regular GNOME, right?
Right.
You're not,
Yeah.
It's not like you have to learn this entirely new environment. It's really just like, have fun, right? Like do it the way you want to do it.
Yeah, and I do like that if you turn it off, it doesn't really change anything. So you could actually even set it up on a workspace and then turn it off, and it stays that way.
Correct. And like right now with but the way I have it set, I don't have using it. But if I go back into tweaks, they have the workspaces thing down here where you can have the workspaces span the displays, right? So right now I'm just shifting between the left display, right? Shifting down, and my right display, which has all my OBS and chat and everything. I don't want that to change. So it's nice that I have the ability to have this static display to the right and the dynamic one to the left. But if I wanted to, I could have it span that and just have like two monitors with, tiled stuff all the way across, right? So I could have separate workspaces for different things. So like maybe video editing and so all that kind of stuff. So I could have like my video editor over here and my file manager and maybe a script or something, outline notes on the right. And then if I move my workspace like down, I'm suddenly into like my web browsing and content consumption, right? So I can have my browser on the right with my stream, and then on the left I can have my chat apps where I'm chatting with people. Like having that kind of flexibility is nice, but it's also not overwhelmingly flexible, right? That's the key. It's purposefully flexible, and that's what I love about it.
So one of the things about tiling window managers that I've appreciated, and I know a lot of people do, is that you can set default desktops. With the way that GNOME handles them dynamically, I'm wondering if you could.
Oh, you mean like open all these on this display kind of thing?
Yeah.
No, I mean I'm sure you could probably automate that in some way, but the pop shell thing doesn't have that functionality.
Okay. I know there are extensions that do that, window placement extensions, things like that.
Oh yeah. So I kind of wonder how those would interact, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if I go into the extensions,
I love this little launcher.
Oh yeah, dude. And the key is super /. So it's like it's just comfortable enough to do with your pinkies.
Mm-hmm.
Like, good job, guys. So yeah, this always show workspaces, and that one I can't enable, and I'm okay with that. So yeah, they do have desktop icons. They have their pop battery stuff, their System 76 power. You know, if you have a System 76 machine, you'll have all these extra things enabled. This is just my desktop, so I don't have a battery. I don't have any of that.
So Simon's a Mac guy, and he says, yeah, even with 2 displays, he utilizes the workspaces. They're very
Oh
handy.
yeah, totally. And one thing I kind of wish that, so they have it on the Mac with multiple displays, and I would be really great if GNOME could adopt it, is having separate workspaces per display. So like on the Mac, if you have the left display, you can have multiple desktops just for the left display. And then the right display, you can have multiple desktops for just the right display. Just a little extra fun. But
Well, like
the way
you
it
said,
works right
it's
now.
flexible without being overwhelming.
Correct, yeah. And so, you know, this pop shell thing is the window tiling thing. So you can so snap to grid and floating mode. I don't know what that is. I'll try that out. So let's see. So if I do Windows G or Super G, it makes it floating, but I don't see like how it's like snapping to some kind of grid, right? I don't know what it means by that.
Yeah, floating just takes it out of the flow, basically. Can you put it back in? Can you like?
Yeah, so I did, yeah.
Oh, okay, there you go.
So
yeah, I could see that being intuitive, and you just kind of get used to those keyboard. And that is so. Besides the workspaces or the desktops, I know you mentioned i3 being so keyboard driven, or most tiling window managers, but I do like that so many different things I can do just intuitively, super quick in GNOME. And you can set up Plasma to do those things, but it's a lot. I mean, okay, it seems like a lot of work to make that happen. Whereas GNOME, like, they've thought all that out. You know, the shortcuts are already there.
yeah,
The dynamic desktops, like all of that is just, it's so seamless and just so easy.
definitely. Anything anybody else wants to see? You want to see? I guess you know you guys are probably not that into it, but I could show. I could try to show a gameplay. See if that see if that comes through, because I totally haven't tried this on stream yet. If the audio is blowing your ears out, I hope it does. But no, if it's too loud, let me know. I'll adjust it. If you can hear any audio at all, actually.
Well, I won't through Discourse, but
Yeah.
I'll mute.
Okay.
Or Discord.
Yeah, it just wasn't, my OBS wasn't refreshed. Yeah, so if I come in here, you know, this is, again, it's a fairly lightweight game. But it still requires like some, you know, it's not gonna run on like a 10-year-old ThinkPad. Sorry guys. But you know, it runs pretty well. If you're prone to motion sickness, now is not the time to watch. But as you can see, it what's that?
The desktop audio sounded fun.
Okay. Yeah, so like it's running pretty well. Like this is a pretty fun game for you guys, and I don't think it's that expensive, but it runs really well on a variety of hardware. It's a fun multiplayer game. You can get up to, I think, 4 people playing together. And the basic idea is that you go around and, you know, kill guys and collect money. I'm doing terribly because I'm not even paying attention really. I am no Twitch streamer in terms of gaming because they're a lot better at this, but you get the idea. So I mean, games run great on it. the performance is pretty awesome.
So presumably you didn't have to. I mean, the 440 driver is already
Yeah, so the
installed.
so the one that they get is the one from the repos. That would be and I installed from it's gotta load for a second. I installed from the NVIDIA ISO. So it came, with the drivers pre-installed, and it pre-installed the 44064, so 440.64.
And you didn't have to make any kind of.
I didn't do
adjustments?
any. I didn't even like tell it to install it or any. Like, this is what it came with. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So you were saying it performed that well. I just was.
Yeah, and there's a newer one, 44082, I think. That one actually has some fixes for Doom Eternal in Proton. I don't own Doom Eternal yet, and when I do, then I'll have to update those so that Doom Eternal works. But yeah, it runs really well. Games run really well. I don't know. I'm pretty impressed. So, anybody got any comments, questions, anything?
What was the other game that you were saying that you used?
Oh
to
yeah,
test?
Overwatch.
Overwatch.
Yeah. So let me hit up Lutris real quick. Let me
I'm such a non-gamer that the only time I've ever seen Lutris is on your streams.
Oh yeah, of course. So annoyingly, the system tray for BattleNet takes up its own like giant square, even though it's like this tiny little thing. But that's wine.
That's how
That's
tiling
wine.
works.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why i3 can look really unpleasant at times.
Oh, that was interesting. I had a crash there. But it seemed to have crashed gracefully. Yeah, I'm just gonna go into the practice range because I don't want to screw over my team. I don't want to just join a team thing. So like, yeah, you can.
My business, my rules.
Works.
Here it comes.
Yeah, it seems to be really smooth.
And this is of course while I'm streaming too. So
Yeah.
Poser. Smoke now.
Get that train.
yeah, sure showed it.
That's right.
But yeah, it runs really smooth. I don't have to. I don't detect any tearing. Maybe a little at the top. I don't know. I don't have VSync enabled, but yeah, this is. I hope it's coming through in the stream because like it's pretty smooth.
Here it comes.
Oh. If there's any other games I might own you might be interested in trying, I can do that. I know like games are kind of tricky because like they go full screen and stuff, and I kind of wondered how that would interact with the tiling, but it seems to be no problem.
That's actually interesting that I mean, I assume someone there would have thought of that and tested it, but I wasn't sure if it would be a problem.
Yeah.
Like if you accidentally hit a keyboard shortcut for like any of that tiling or anything.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good question. Let me go into Overwatch is a better example because Overwatch it has all the other windows that go along with it, right?
Yeah. Like is it smart enough to know that if you're in a full screen application not to do that?
I would imagine that switching workspaces still works. You can see we got a pop shell error at the top there. Does not have an actor and therefore cannot be moved. I'm guessing that's referring to this. So if I do like Windows Enter, I can't like select the window, right? I can still activate the overview and I can still like change workspace. As far as like moving it workspaces, yeah, it did, but man, it's not happy about it.
Yeah, I can see a little bit tearing when you do it.
Yeah, it's kind of like flickering going on. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's probably like all the windows reflowing and all that, and when I'm doing it. But so it's not like super seamless, but being like a beta and B like a brand new extension thing, pretty impressive actually.
Yeah, I guess the only problem would be is if you needed those keys for something in a game, like would that be a conflict?
So that's the thing. I don't know any games that use the super key, and everything is done through the super key.
Good point. Yeah.
So in a way, you prevent that from being a problem because, in Windows, if you hit the Windows key, it brings up the start menu. So, and a lot of gaming keyboards have a specific key that disables the super key. So, there's that too. But,
yeah, I have it booted up in a virtual machine, just playing around with it. And yeah, it's this tiling's pretty interesting.
Yeah, I think it is too. Welcome back, Farron. You missed Overwatch. But you missed me killing training robots in Overwatch. Yeah, I'm really impressed. And I don't think I'm like super picky, but I think I have good taste. And I think I'm right about this one.
You are usually pretty quick to find fault, and I mean, would you say that it's kind of like Ubuntu because it's GNOME, but then obviously different extensions. So you've got that base, and then Pop they just do between the extensions for the power management and CPU governor and um, the tiling. So they're basing it on Ubuntu, but they're adding a lot of their own
Yeah,
customization.
but I feel like they're only similar in plumbing, right? That to me that's the only thing. Like they're obviously based on the Ubuntu base. They're both GNOME based desktop environments, right? But beyond that, it's all about the experience that you get, right? So when I use Ubuntu, it feels like this is a generalist kind of environment, right? Like this is for anybody, and it feels like it feels like a base kind of system, right? Like this is something that we're giving you just enough to get your feet wet, and it's up to you to carry it on, right? But Pop, for example, their experience is separate in that they're trying to produce a coherent product that just happens to be based on Ubuntu, right? So they're both using GNOME, but with things like the tiling and the System 76 like power management stuff, the the battery stuff that they do with their laptops, their their extensions, they're adding FlatHub instead of snaps and all that. It differentiates itself enough as a separate product rather than just being another Ubuntu, right? Because Kubuntu is Ubuntu with KDE, right? And they do their own things, but they do their very specific KDE things. And so I don't look at like Kubuntu and Ubuntu as the same product because they're totally different desktops, totally different ways of doing things. But in the very same way, I don't look at Pop as a skin on Ubuntu because Pop is targeting a very different experience. Their Pop shop is catered to be different than the Ubuntu Software Center. Their inclusion of Flatpaks, their tiling extension now, they have like firmware updates for their hardware built into the settings manager. Like Ubuntu is never going to ship that because they have no need to. Like System 76 has their products, their hardware, and they want their software to run well on their hardware. So they're going to want a cohesive experience, and that is all the way down to something like firmware updates. And Ubuntu is very much a product that tries to be everything and anything, whereas Pop, I feel, is it's adhered to, like, if you're a gamer it'll work really well, if you're a developer, if you're a maker kind of person or any kind of like power user, Pop is really good at that. I don't think Pop, I'm not saying Pop isn't good for new users. It certainly would be. I have installed and run everything that I have from not, I didn't use the terminal at all for it. So that's pretty awesome, right? But they're targeting a different demographic. I feel like the Ubuntu desktop, as good as it is, and it's a great product, but it very much is held back by it has to fit so many roles, right? Because I mean,
It's almost the
anywhere from like a developer running Ubuntu or a regular person running Ubuntu or even something like a payment kiosk running Ubuntu. It has to work in all of these different areas, whereas Pop can afford to be a little more narrow, a little more focused.
And I think Ubuntu, maybe at some point they face the same pressures that Microsoft would with Windows, where you can't diverge too far because you have a sort of standard experience, and especially on something like an LTS that they're going to support for so long. But the other thing is, yeah, I mean, System 76 being a hardware company and making a bespoke distro for their hardware, um, but and I think that gives them a certain sense of focus. I mean, are there any other hardware companies that produce their own distro?
In
Not that I can
Linux,
think of. Yeah,
I don't think that they produce their own distro. No.
yeah. So that's kind of a unique situation. And
Yeah.
it shows the flexibility of GNOME as well, because yes, Ubuntu has their flavor, or their version of it, which differs from everyone else's. You've got Zorin that does their own thing, and you've got Pop that does their own thing, and GNOME's very flexible when you use extensions. So I agree, it's not just a reskin. That was always the criticism, and maybe in
Yeah.
the 1710 days, when they at that point hadn't done a tremendous amount of customization, but
Yeah.
no,
It did feel like it was just a theme change, right?
yeah, it was basically just a theme to match their branding. But now, I mean, they've in the last 2 or 3 releases, and they've really diverged pretty far. So, yeah, I agree with all of that. And like I said, that's what I saw, that differentiation, even when it was just mainly theming, that they had different ideas, the pop shop and,
Yeah,
you know,
totally.
the CPU governor extension. I love that. I mean,
Yeah,
it's
that's true. They do have their own set of extensions for that, right? Of course, it's not showing up on mine because it's not a laptop, but yeah.
right.
Yeah, Farron, you were talking about Intel and Clear Linux. So, like, Intel makes processors and other things, but they don't make an entire product, right? You can't buy an Intel laptop. You can buy an Intel powered laptop, but not an Intel laptop, right? So they're a company that makes, and yeah, you can make the argument that they don't make the laptops, they're ODMs, blah blah blah, whatever. That's not the point. The point is it's a System 76 laptop versus a chip, right? So there's more to it than just the processor.
I wonder if anybody knows, or if I hadn't been aware of this, but I saw someone talking, I think it might have been Jason in Linux for Everyone, about how it can be difficult to run different distros on System 76 hardware, something with the
Yeah,
firmware or
I can't attest to that because I don't have any, but yeah, I can see that. Um,
Vince
yeah.
says that the Nux. Those
Oh
are
yeah.
actually pretty cool.
Does
I've never
does Intel do the entire manufacturing on that? Like, do
uh,
they?
they're
I mean, they're
branded as
Intel nukes,
Intel.
right? Yeah.
Yeah, they are.
Okay.
They do look pretty cool, but they're not cheap. I mean,
No,
um
they're really not. And they're I remember hearing about them and thinking like, oh, cool little box, and it's like, oh, it's $800. Nope.
yeah, exactly. I know I priced one out as a kind of like server slash media server slash PC kind of thing. And yeah, I think with the better processor, with better memory, with
Yeah.
NVMe. I mean, I was pushing 1,000. It might even been more than that. So I was just like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Makes a Mac Mini look like a good deal.
It does. Pardon me, I'm just enjoying my chocolate shake now that it's melted enough. So I don't know if this affects everybody's Sonic drive-ins, but ours seems to make like concrete when they make a shake. And it's a good like half an hour to an hour until you can actually drink it because it's like so like thick and it's rough, man. Because when I want the shake, I want it now, not an hour from now.
Oh, if it was too runny, you'd complain it was too runny.
Well, then I'd just be like, hey, chocolate milk, awesome.
Yeah, Sonic is good stuff. There isn't one particularly close to me, but I got some kind of special one time, and I was like, "Oh, I got to go try this." It was like half an hour away, but I'm like, why not?
Yeah.
They have some really interesting and unique menu items compared to most other places.
Yeah, like you can get like like soft pretzels there and corn dogs, like at the same place. Running a Nuck as my HTPC. It's a salary version, so it wasn't too. Yeah, pulls everything
Yeah.
off my NAS. Yeah, and
Even a Celeron for just transcoding
like
and
500,
stuff.
$600.
Yeah, but it would still. I mean, it would probably be good enough.
Yeah, but I mean,
No, the price
yeah,
is definitely. There are other options that are much less expensive with very similar hardware specs.
yeah.
So I'm not exactly sure why.
Because I mean, like you compare like a Nuck, right? It's you know, a Celeron Nuck is probably anywhere between like probably fully equipped is about 400 to $500, probably, right? I can buy an Nvidia Shield TV Pro that has Plex Media Server on it, and it's $200, and it'll transcode everything with the GPU and all that, and it's ARM. It doesn't have a fan. It's like it's you know it's
Does it have onboard storage?
yeah 32 gig of it, but it's got
Okay.
USB ports, so you can just plug in like a you know. You can either plug in a external USB or you can actually connect like Samba shares and NASs to it and just get the data that way.
Gotcha.
But
Hey,
yeah.
if anyone hasn't subscribed,
All right, later, Farron.
Adam's at 47. Let's get him to 50 at least. Come on.
And then I'll do a 0.24 hour stream.
Yeah, Michael's gonna do his 100th this week in Linux episode sometime in the next week, and he was like, "Do you have any suggestions?" I was like, "Yeah, pick 100 topics and do a 24-hour stream." He's like, "Why do you hate me?"
Man, that'd be brutal. I couldn't do a 24 hour stream.
Yeah, I know.
If you ever want to see me like if you ever want to see the equivalent of me like tripping on peyote and mushrooms, like just have me stay up for 24 hours, right? I'll probably have like red and blue paint on my face and like doing cartwheels on my bed cuz I'm just out of it.
Did you guys see the size of those chickens?
Yeah. Pretty much. But yeah, good times.
Yeah, well, thanks for showing that. The tiling is super interesting. I'm actually just gonna see if I can get it as an extension for Ubuntu.
Yeah,
And
that.
it's on GitHub, so I'm pretty sure you can just
Oh,
install it.
okay. Yeah.
So I'm gonna give it a try just to see, but it's hard to do in a virtual machine. It's just kind of janky, but
Good old Steve. I do look terrible sometimes. It's often
that's
just
all
because
right.
I'm tired. But
Oh, Steve, we're gonna start picking on people for looks. You're in trouble now, buddy.
oh yeah, it's done. Actually, I
It's
think
on.
I did the first shots on that one, so I probably have it coming. I think I said something about him not lasting very long or something like that. So I have it coming, yeah. But
Yeah,
yeah,
Steve's
I really appreciate you guys showing up for the stream today. I mean, I totally didn't expect anybody to show up, but it was really awesome. I got like up to 17 people in here. That's spectacular. But man, it's been fun. I'm glad I got to show this off. I like showing stuff off on hardware, you know, like a VM's fine and all, but I like, you know, diving in, like, hey, just throw the whole rig at it, see what it does, see what breaks, see what happens, right?
Have you found any issues?
Yeah, so obviously the issue with the tiling, like I got the error with Overwatch, but also the overlap issue was the big one. So like if things can't shrink enough, they overlap in the tiling, so they're not like tiled anymore. Certain apps behave differently in that way, and that's kind of a mess. But so I don't know if there's like some logic they can kind of do with the reflowing and all that, but that sounds like a lot. So I'm not gonna fault them on that one right now.
Well, and this is, you know, this is pretty much first. I mean, we're
Yeah.
just coming out.
It's the beta of 2004 on top of the first like beta release of their extension. So right.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah. I really
considering that. I mean, it runs pretty well. And you said you had maybe something with the scaling as well.
Yeah. Actually, so that was a different bug. So those of you who are still around, I'd found a bug in Ubuntu on Mutter for GNOME that caused, and I actually didn't originally find it. I found that there was a bug report on the GNOME GitLab already about it. But there was a bug in Ubuntu where if you change the scaling to anything over 100%, it would go, your screens would turn off. They would go to sleep, right? And then you'd have to wait for it to revert, or you'd have to like delete the monitor's XML and restart. They fixed that for the 200%. But now with Ubuntu specifically, now this is not a GNOME thing, maybe. It might have something to do with GNOME, but they have a patch on there that allows you to do fractional scaling in X11, which is actually included in Pop! OS here. So if I go into settings here and you go to displays, there is a switch here for fractional scaling, and that will allow you to do 125, 150, 175, etc. But changing to any of those does the same thing and puts your monitors to sleep. So that bug still exists. Right now I'm just running at 1440p just because I want the right scaling, but I don't want, you know, I like my monitors not being asleep. So but yeah, that bug still exists. But that's not necessarily a pop bug. That also exists in Ubuntu. So yeah, that's a little more upstream to pop.
Oh, cool. I mean, it sounds like it's pretty solid then.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thanks for showing it to me.
So yeah, no problem. I really appreciate you guys showing up to the stream. I'm gonna try to do more of these things. I had a whole like heart to heart, you know, moment with Rocco earlier about, you know, doing content and being out there a little more. So I really appreciate you guys showing up. But awesome. I love all of you. You're all great. So you guys take it easy, and I'm gonna roll out.
Roll.